popularity of surfing in Australia has never been healthier. Surf schools have sprung up everywhere. Kids are starting at an ever younger age. Programs like Vegemite Surf Groms have made surfing a reality for kids from every corner of the nation. Grassroots surf clubs are putting local pride on the line and competing on a national level, turning enthusiastic Groms into crafty competition surfers. And a state-of-the-art high-performance facility run by Surfing Australia is turning club surfers into world champions, with Australian surfers dominating the ASP World Championship rankings. It's a well-polished, professionally run sport, gaining momentum at every turn. But away from the spotlight, hidden in the shadows, is a group of surfers who don't seem to fit any of these moulds. They don't turn up to the glossy events. They don't have world champion aspirations. They don't wave the flag. They're otherwise normal people, with normal jobs and families. But when distant storms are causing havoc thousands of miles away, these surfers are glued to international weather services, tracking low pressure systems, cyclones, and the sort of weather normal people run from. These are Australia's underground hardcore big wave surfers. They only seem to emerge from their slumber when the swell reaches the sort of size that sees other surfers having second thoughts about paddling out at all. Surfing Australia looks to support every facet of surfing around the country, including these big wave specialists. But the reality is, big swells are so fickle and so difficult to predict, it's almost impossible to run a regular dedicated big wave contest. And let's not forget, big wave surfing is really dangerous. People get hurt all the time. Australia's big wave crews are probably the most hardcore in the world because our big waves break in such remote locations. Help is usually hundreds of miles away. If a jet ski fails or someone gets in trouble, these guys have to rely on each other.
When you're surfing big waves, you're always scared. It's being scared that actually gives you that excitement, it gives you that rush, and you know, if you didn't feel those feelings, it wouldn't be the same. You know, if you're out in the surf and it's not quite hitting that size where you're getting that feeling, you just want a bigger set, and you're just anticipating the next set to be that little bit bigger so you can push yourself that little bit more.
When I get into the bigger waves, it's sort of just living in the moment and focused on what's going on, that you think, oh, it was kind of gnarly out there and you could have died or something.
With what we do, I mean, you know, when something does go wrong, it goes wrong in a huge way. You know, I've lost some of my best friends surfing dangerous waves.
They're all friends, and they look out for one another. It's a brotherhood, no question. Typically, the waves these guys are chasing are too big to paddle into, so most of the time, they have to drag jet skis and mountains of equipment around with them. That's an expensive exercise. It's never as simple as just jumping on a plane. There is a full-on network of surfers all over the planet, with friends of friends who have garages full of equipment, just waiting for the right day. One surfer who can confidently rank among these big wave chargers is Maroobra's Mark Matthews. For years, Mark has been at the forefront of finding, chasing and riding huge waves in Australia, regularly appearing in surf magazines and websites, clawing his way across huge swells. Now Mark is working with Original Source to shine a spotlight onto some of Australia's big wave talent.
The surfers we are talking about are absolutely dedicated to chasing the biggest waves that they can find. Whether it's a remote wave down a long, dusty desert track or on the other side of the world, these guys will spend their last cent to get there and ride it. The reality is that these big waves break so sporadically and are so remote that the idea of running a big wave surf event is simply impossible. For a scheduled big wave event to actually get big surf, the chances are just so slim. So Original Source, Intense Shower Gels and Surfing Australia put their heads together and came up with a digital surf contest.
The Original Source Intense Surf Challenge is a totally new concept in surfing. Original Source invited Australia's top 15 big wave surfers to take part. The contest ran for 6 months, and every month each surfer uploaded a video clip of themselves surfing anywhere on the planet. The online audience gets to watch and share those clips and then vote on them. The surfer with the most votes at the end of the year wins $30,000. And for these guys, that is a huge prize purse. You got to remember, these guys don't surf contests. Some are not even sponsored. $30,000 will probably be the biggest paycheck they will get all year. Second place wins $5,000. That's a lot of very useful cash when you've got an expensive habit like chasing swells around the planet.
Thanks to things like this, we get to make a living out of what we do.
There isn't many events for us big wave surfers. To have good prize money and events like this definitely helps us out.
For the past 6 months, these 15 surfers have tracked every breath of wind and every ripple on the ocean, watching swells from all around the world and scraping enough money together in order to get themselves and their gear to the right spot at the right time. I can't wait to show you the clips that these guys have uploaded.
After the break, we'll take a look at some of the best waves of the event. We'll meet some of the competitors and go to Australian Surfing's Night of Nights, the announcement of the winner of the Original Source Intense Surf Challenge. Stay with us, we'll be back.
Welcome back. Now's the fun part. Let's take a look at some of the great waves from the Original Source Intense Surf Challenge. Mollymook Beach local Brett Bircher posted some absolutely beautiful waves, which really shows off just how perfect the surf on the New South Wales South Coast can get. And Brett also had the dubious honour of posting one of the event's worst wipeouts.
Pretty much everything that can go wrong went wrong. Coming into it, just didn't set up properly, ended up falling on my chest, slid along on my gut body surfing for probably 3 seconds and then just went up, opened the lip. Ended up with a perforated eardrum and blood coming out my nose, and yeah, that was by far the worst wipeout I've ever had.
Anthony Walsh used camera-mounted boards to get some incredible footage of big long barrels, both at home and overseas. Shots like this are particularly amazing when you realise this is Chopu, one of the world's shallowest and most deadly waves.
The biggest and most intense ride was at Chopu. It was in the Code Red 2011. Later in the day I decided I just want to get one and waited for hours on my towboard, and then my friend Pedro, a Brazilian guy, he finally towed me in and got a nuts one, got spat out in the channel.
Another surfer who looks right at home at Chopu is Dean Bowen. He is absolutely fearless in big waves. I really do have to say that Dean was unlucky not to get more votes. Some of these waves are just incredible. Jamie Mitchell is one of Australia's most accomplished watermen. He has won the Molokai to Oahu paddleboard race so many times that people have just stopped counting. Jamie is so unbelievably fit and comfortable on long boards that he makes paddling into big waves just look too easy. Kirby Brown posted the most flamboyant bio of the event, and then he backed it up with a string of beautiful homegrown waves from Western Australia. Kirby's best waves were paddled, not towed in, which I've got to say is refreshing to see. Laurie Towner has made a name for himself surfing huge waves in Fiji and Tahiti, but he showed his versatility on this 1-foot riverbank.
I'd have to say my most intense ride would be the wave I caught at Shipsterns when I was 19, just because I'd never sort of experienced a wave that big before. That was my first real proper wave, and even to this day I haven't really paddled a bigger wave than that barrel.
Richie Vasilik is the type of guy we could do an entire show about. Not only is he a big wave surfer, but he's also a UFC fighter. He's a great bloke. He posted 6 clips on the Original Source Intense Surf Challenge website, which are works of art.
Ours is one of my favourite waves to surf. but it's always a very fine line between getting the barrel of your life or copping the beating of your life. Paddling over that ledge always feels better than wondering what if. My nose and my board flew up and hit me in the neck.
Riley Lang is the youngest competitor in the event. He's just 14 years old. Can you believe it? 14. I was still getting rescued by my mum when I was 14. Brian Hipwood is one of Australia's most accomplished big wave surfers, and he's one of the few guys that seems to have made a career out of chasing big waves. Brian posted clips from Hawaii, South Australia, Fiji, Tahiti and Tasmania. Brian was neck and neck with the leaders all the way through the event. His waves from Fiji made headlines in every corner of the surfing world.
The biggest, most intense ride I think I've had was at Fiji. I think it was just really intense because I knew it was the first wave of the set, and if you fall off on a 20-footer and there's another 4 behind it, you're in a bit of strife. The biggest wipeout I've had would probably have to be at either Shipsterns or the right. I'd have to say the right because I came really close to drowning. You know, I had a vest and stuff on, but you know, I was down for just so long and I was getting really ragdolled.
Tyler Homercross is some sort of Tasmanian giant. He stands almost 6'6" tall. So just think about the waves that he's riding. When you see his tall frame on them, you know they're even bigger than what they look like.
The most intense wave I've ever had was down at Shipstern last year. I just remember standing in like the biggest, bluest barrel. My biggest wipeout was last July. It felt like the whole ocean ended up coming like over me and I just ended up getting smashed.
Dean Morrison spent years on the elite ASP World Championship circuit. Since leaving the WCT, Dean has quickly become one of the best big wave specialists in the world. It's not hard to see why with waves like these.
When we come back, we'll meet the 2 standout surfers from the original Source Intense Surf Challenge.
As you've seen, there were plenty of amazing waves posted on the Intense Surf Challenge website by Australia's 15 best big wave surfers. But after 6 months of waves being posted around the world, the 2 clear leaders were Tasmania's Marty Paradises and South Australia's Josiah Schmucker. Both are from quiet rural towns, and both are the type of guys that will drop whatever they're doing whenever there's a swell on. Marty Paradises would have to be one of the most respected big wave surfers anywhere in the world. I've lost count of the number of unbelievable shots I've seen of him in surf magazines. He doesn't talk it up, he never talks anyone else down. He's an absolute gentleman. Contest or no contest, he would still be chasing big waves because that's what he lives for.
Being a part of the Intense Surf Challenge has given all us competitors that, you know, it gives you that drive. I mean, 30 grand's on the line. That's 30 grand's a year's wage for me. So to be able to have that incentive to go out there and try to get the job done it's an amazing little boost of, I guess, of confidence to go searching and to just see what else is out there. When you get put in a situation where you really have to face your fears, just step over the line and just put yourself in a position to go out of your comfort zone to make it happen. Thanks to Surfing Australia and Original Source for putting this type of surfing into the spotlight.
Marty is so dedicated to chasing big waves that he's made his job fit around his surfing lifestyle.
I'm lucky enough to work in a job that's quite flexible to an extent. As long as I can get my shifts covered, the boss seems to be pretty cool with it, and yeah, it all fits in okay. They're behind what I do. They know what I do, and yeah, I'm pretty sure they encourage me to keep doing it.
Marty's waves from Shipsterns Bluff are some of the biggest that have ever been surfed out there, because this is Marty's backyard.
Shippy, it's an amazing place. I mean, most of the stuff people see is the mutated mess when it does get big. It's amazing, it's perfect. Generally, once you wipe out at Shippy's, it's a pretty violent wipeout. Yeah, this day was shallow. It just sucked me straight over, straight to the bottom, got pounded for a few seconds and then got washed up down in the channel.
This monster from Pedra Branca is probably one of the biggest, thickest waves ever surfed in Australia. Just getting to see this place break it all is a rare privilege.
When you're out there and you've caught a wave that you know it's special, and it's the feeling that you get from doing that and accomplishing something, it's amazing.
Josiah Schmucker is from a land that breeds big sharks, dangerous waves and scary locals.
Living in Streaky is just super different to anything in around the city. Borderline desert out there, and the coast I live on is pretty well known for its predators and pretty scary. You know, I'll never surf by myself down there, no matter where it is or what the conditions are like. You just get those eerie feelings like you're being watched or stalked by something, and so it's just not worth the risk, I reckon, and that's my real problem, not the bigger waves, it's sort of the bigger fish that scare me.
Surfing down there on the edge of the desert is a seriously intense experience, but if you're lucky, you'll probably get the barrel of a lifetime. Josiah's winning videos are actually of his local breaks. That's his dad on the jet ski.
This is at home, real close to Streaky, just about 2K out to sea, and it's I think one of the best big waves in Australia. And it was the biggest and best day I've seen at this bombie.
The Original Source Intense Surf Challenge was an absolute godsend for both these guys. Finally, a chance to do what they love and get paid for it. After the break, we go to Australian Surfing's Night of Nights, the announcement of the winner of the Original Source Intense Surf Challenge. The Surfing Australia Awards Night is the night of nights for the Australian surf community. People fly in from around the world to be there. It's basically a very big deal.
And welcome to the 2014 Australian Surfing Awards, incorporating our Hall of Fame in stunning Sydney. What a beautiful night, what a great location to be in. What a brilliant night we've got coming up. Tonight we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Australian Surfing Awards to preserve the history of Australian surfing and to honour its great achievers.
It's the night the governing body of surfing in Australia crowns the Male Surfer of the Year, the Female Surfer of the Year, the Waterman of the Year, the Nikon Surf Movie of the Year, and they induct a new member to the Hall of Fame. It's an absolute who's who of Australian surfing. And finally, after 6 months, the announcement of the winner of the Original Source Intense Surf Challenge. Towards the end of the contest, it was clear that Marty and Josiah were well ahead. But the announcement of the winner on the awards night would be a surprise to everyone in the room. No one knew who was going to pick up the $30,000. Both surfers were looking really nervous. They were absolutely freaking on the result.
And the runner-up with 14,234 votes from South Australia is Josiah Schmucker.
First of all, I'd just like to thank Original Source for putting the comp on. Never been so nervous since like year 5 December.
And at the forefront of it is the winner of the Original Source event, Marty Paradises.
So Marty Paradises takes out the Original Source Intense Surf Challenge and $30,000.
Wow, this is amazing. This is unreal. To be in a room with such great people, yeah, it's a real pleasure and it's a real honour. Thanks to Surfing Australia for putting this on. Thanks to everyone that supported me throughout this competition, especially my family and friends. Josiah, I've known him since he was like 14 or 15. Straight up, I want to give Josiah another $5,000 to keep chasing and doing what he does.
Marty's win is a huge windfall for him, but it's more than just a novelty check and a healthier bank balance. It's the recognition of a life lived chasing bigger and bigger waves just for the thrill of it, which is really the reason we all start surfing in the first place.
Yeah, it was definitely something that I've never been involved in before. 30 grand's a year's wage, so I was going to try to get there somehow.
It may have been nerve-wracking for the competitors to have the public viewing and voting on their waves, but the original source, Intense Surf Challenge, shone a bright spotlight onto a group of surfers who otherwise just don't get the attention they deserve.
Each month, like, people were dropping their clips, and that was the most exciting thing, was to get onto that website and see what people have entered and stuff, and that was unreal, just logging on and then just going through everyone's clips and watching them.